Okay, so since this is broken up into segments and the refs are in one of those segments, I will not speak on that stuff in this clip. We're doing the new format, so we're still ranting, but it's in a different format. So let's get into that, because just watch this and I'll tell you what I think of the ones and stripes. The refs won this game. To Miami fans that are going to say no, check out the free throw numbers and check out fouls. The Heat have over 10 more free throws and over 10 more fouls. I know they have over 10 more free throws. They might have over 10 more fouls than the Pacers, but they have a substantial amount more opportunities to shoot free throws and get fouls than the Pacers do, because the refs love Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. In fact, Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler's points throughout the first half were all free throws, much like the playoff series, if you remember. 50% or more of their points would come from free throws, because the refs love the Heat. They were snorting cocaine in the locker rooms before the game. They're all friendly, gave them some free cocaine, gave them some tickets to Disney World in Orlando, paid off the refs 100%. And they didn't like the Pacers. I want to point out one in particular at the end. Actually, I'm going to point out a lot. But one I do want to point out first is Miles Turner. When he hit that ball out of bounds, his hand was not down. His hand was close to being down, but he batted it out and then landed on the hand. That's what he didn't. He wasn't out. TJ McConnell earlier, when his elbow was touching the ground and he had the ball, yeah, that was out. But what Miles did was not out. His hand had not touched the ground yet. Oh yeah, also, actually I'm going to get into that in the next segment. But yeah, and also there were multiple times where the Heat fouled, like Doug McDermott. He went up for a shot it, and then it was within the time for it to still be a three-point shooting foul. One of the Heat defenders came flying by and smacked his whole hand and arms. How is that not an and one? What the heck? You call that for other players, but why do you not call that for us? You saw how this game ended. That 1 point that we got from the free throw, it was Doug McDermott. There's no way Doug is missing that free throw. So, if we get that, this game is a lot closer, along with that Miles Turner call not being the way that it was and it staying in bounds. This game would have been a lot different if the refs called it fair and if Miles Turner didn't get in foul trouble. But let's move on to the next segment. The offense. I feel like this is the most appropriate part to put it, that way it's not buried at the end. But to all the Pacers fans who are going to talk about, tanking after this, we should tank, we still won the season series. And you weren't saying to tank then, so we're not going to tank now because of one loss. Now let's talk about the offense. First, second, and third quarter, Miles Turner was going off from three. He was hitting threes. Fourth quarter, he bricked three that would have helped us win the game. Miles, usually I excuse your three-point shooting because you don't make them in the first, second, third, but then when we need you to into the fourth, you make those threes. It was the opposite of that today. Same with Malcolm Brogdon. Well, actually, Malcolm Brogdon wasn't really hitting that many threes throughout the game today, but he was still better overall offensively in the first, second, and third quarter. But then in the fourth quarter, like Miles Turner, his offense went to crap. His offense went in a garbage fire to die for the fourth quarter. TJ McConnell was really the only consistent scorer in the fourth quarter, with his classic fadeaway 10 feet away from the hoop. He'll jab step, spin to create space, and as he's fading away, shoot it, and it swishes through, because he can create a lot of space for himself. He's actually quite good at that. But yeah, our offense just was terrible in the fourth. it wasn't all the refs that lost this. I feel I should have said that in the referee segment for the Miami Heat fans that are going to angrily comment before even watching this part. But it wasn't all the refs that lost us this game. It was mostly them. But last time we faced the Heat, we were able to play through the refs hating us because we played good in the fourth quarter. This game, we didn't play good in the fourth quarter, so we lost. It was basically the same game, but we just didn't play good in the fourth quarter. It wasn't good. We didn't hit our threes in the fourth when we needed to. That was the main thing. We didn't hit our threes when we needed to in the fourth, and that really killed us. I feel like we should have put Edmund Sumner out there in the end. I know some people are like, Edmund Sumner, he was in the G League a few years ago. Did you not see the beginning of the game when he was hitting threes? Remember against the Pistons when him and LeVert were both hitting threes in the fourth? Edmund, like McConnell, could have scored points in the fourth. Edmund Sumner could have scored threes in the fourth to help us. We should have subbed him in. We definitely should have. It sucks, but yeah. On to the next segment. The defense. Another part of the reason why we won the Heat games earlier is because we shut down Duncan Robinson and Tyler Herro. I think we did shut down Duncan, didn't necessarily not shut him down, but we did a decent job at stopping Duncan Robinson from scoring threes. But Tyler Herro shot well in the fourth. And I think he shot well in the fourth and third. First and second, we were doing a decent job holding him down. But then the third and fourth, he just made a bunch of threes. And that was part of the reason that we lost. Miles Turner, for those of you who, even though he's not soft, he still plays pretty aggressive now. But for those of you who will say that Miles isn't aggressive enough, well, Miles was very aggressive today. And look what happened. He got in foul trouble. I've been saying for most of the year that when Miles gets too aggressive, he gets into foul trouble, and that's why he's not as aggressive as some people might like. This game was a perfect example of that. He had like 3 or 4 blocks, but he got way too aggressive when rebounding and blocking and shot contesting, and he got called for it, and he got in foul trouble, and then when we needed him in the fourth, in the beginning of the fourth, to stop guys from scoring, we couldn't have him out there because he was in foul trouble. Goga actually did an exceptional job of stopping players and contesting shots. Goga plays very similar defense to Miles Turner. He can guard point guards on the perimeter. He can contest any shot. He's not afraid to get postered. Just like Miles will go up if someone's dunking to try and block their shot. I think he's definitely been taking notes from Miles Turner. And that's a good thing because Miles Turner is the defensive player of the year, in my opinion. He's better than Rudy Gobert. So if Goga can develop kind of like Miles, because I'm really seeing shades of Miles in him, it'd be nice, because then when Miles and Domas get in foul trouble, we can put Goga out there like we did tonight, and he can be a bit more reliable. Will he be the same level? Probably not. I mean, Miles Turner, I don't want to say he's a generational defensive talent, but he is a top 5 defender in the NBA. You don't just come across that all the time. So will he be the same level of defender that Miles is? That's a bit iffy, but can he be a very good defender? Yes. I can see Goga becoming a very solid defender off the bench for us, just like McConnell. Pairing TJ McConnell and Goga together off the bench would be a beautiful matchup to watch, because then you have a guy who can guard guys on the perimeter, and then if they try to drive, you've got Goga in there. So I know some of you are going to bring up when Miles Turner did let Duncan Robinson past him for that too. Okay, yeah, but how about all the times that Miles has stopped guys from driving in out on the perimeter? He can guard guards about as well as most big men in this league. You can't bring up the 1, 2, or 3 moments that he doesn't do it, but then not bring up the hundreds of moments that he does do it. But yeah, Caris LeVert also had a very good defensive game. He had 3 steals. He's a good perimeter defender. It's just sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. He needs to be a bit more consistent. Same with Justin Holiday. Malcolm Brogdon is actually kind of an underrated defender. He's a solid defender too. It's just inconsistency. But he's big. He has a height advantage on a lot of point guards, and he can play good defense on them. Yeah, that is it for the defense. In summary, the refs kept Miami in it in the first, second, and third, and parts of the fourth, and didn't call a fair game. But it didn't help that we played terrible in the fourth and that Miles Turner got in foul trouble. Going player by player, Miles shouldn't have gotten in foul trouble, and he needed to shoot better from three. Malcolm Brogdon played a great game except for the fourth. Domas, a bit of the same. He played a pretty good game, but just in the fourth, it wasn't there. TJ McConnell was the guy who kept our offense alive in the fourth. It wasn't enough. He tried his best, like he will do, where he just puts his all out. He leaves everything out there on the court to try and keep us in some games, but it just doesn't work. Edmund Sumner definitely should be out there sometimes when we need threes, because he's hitting them and he's confident in hitting them, and I'm glad I have his jersey in my closet. He's a very good young player, and I hope he gets some playing time. Aaron Holiday, actually, I feel like his game tonight is kind of going under the radar. He gave some solid minutes there in the third quarter and second quarter. I feel like he's kind of realized that his minutes are being limited and being taken, and he's trying to fight for those minutes back, and that's a good thing. We need to see the Aaron Holiday of old who performed in the fourth quarter, because sometimes we need guys like that who can perform in the fourth. We definitely need them in nights like tonight. Goga, good game. Good game. The flopping. I also want to address the flopping from the Heat. Jimmy got his way back in the game in the fourth by flopping. He flopped so many times, and the refs fell for it so many times, and finally when we challenged a flop, they saw, oh, well, there's a flop, and overturned it. It's pretty obvious that they were trying to get fouls. I'm fine with drawing fouls when it's ripe for a guy's standing there like this, and you really need that basket, jump into him, draw the foul. But when it's like that, and you're not really drawing a foul, you're flopping. There's a difference between drawing a foul and flopping. Drawing a foul, you jump into a guy, you're still putting your body at risk, and you get the call. Flopping, you're doing just that. You're there, a guy's kind of getting into it with you, and then you're soft, fall back trying to get the foul. I wish it was like college where you would get flop warnings, because I saw multiple guys try to do that to Purdue last season, and they got called for flop warnings, and it prevented them from flopping, and it helped us. And I think the NBA definitely needs to enforce that. They need to have that. I don't know if flop warning is in the NBA, but if it's not, it needs to be in. If it is, they need to enforce it a lot more. But yeah, good job. You won the game. But the difference is when the Pacers won their 2 games, they played through the refs and they utterly dominated you. They didn't flop to get the win. They didn't need the refs to get the win. The Heat, well, you've heard what I've had to say. They flopped and the refs got them in the game. It's not a good way to win a game, but the Heat don't care. Guess what? We still won the season series. We still beat you 2 times. And the one time you could beat us, you eked out a win. We still beat you by almost 30 one night. I don't want to hear anything. See you guys next time. As always, I'm Not Funny. And let me know if you enjoyed the format for this video. I had a lot of fun actually making the slides and putting them together. This is going to be the format for every video. Colts videos Tigers videos, Red Wings videos, Pacers videos. It's going to be the format for all of the videos when it's like after a game like this, unless there is an outcry saying that it's a bad way. But let me know if you like this. I had fun making this. So yeah, see you guys next time.
Love on each other, as in, like, you know, tell each other they love. I don't know, like, who the person is, so the fuck you doing? The fuck you doing? Dumbass. My bad, y'all. That just pissed me